Thank you.
And today introduce two more siblings of charity, which is something we have to nurture. So let's continue with our discussion. I will start with our opening prayers and then we will get into the topic of our discussion today. We'll go into 18th chapter today. So 17th we did, we'll again pick up 18.5 and that's where we will have a discussion on today. And we'll touch upon some more facets of charity as well, like we've been doing. So let me get started, share my screen and we'll get started. All right. We'll do the opening prayers then. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurue Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening again. Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. So let's get started. So today we will fast track it to 18th chapter verse 5. We've been talking about charity and that will continue to be our dominant theme this week. In addition to that, we will introduce a few other things as well and we'll have a discussion on that today. So let me recite this shloka and we will get underway. Yagya dana tapa karma na tyajyam karyamevata yagyo danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishina. All right. Do we have any volunteer?
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, I see a lot of hand raised.
Okay.
Radhe Radhe, Shrutiji. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Padaji, Radhe Radhe Nitya. Yagya dana tapa karma tyajam karyamevata yagyo danam tapaschaiva bhavanani manishinam.
Very nice. Wonderful. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Srivatsanji. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Ji, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yagnya dana tapah karma natyajyam karyameva tat yajno danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam.
Very nice, Srivatsan. How did it sound like being addressed as G?
I feel kind of shy.
Okay. See, you have to get used to it now. Everybody has become G here. Okay.
Yeah.
Initially, I thought there are only three Gs. Okay, Parle Ji, Swami Ji, and Maharaj Ji. But then apparently there are a lot of other Gs also now.
There
But
is
good.
5G also, Nitinji.
5G, 2G, 3G, Madam G. A lot of Gs are there. Okay, that's nice. By the way, we have somebody in our temple who her name is Teji. So Teji Ji, it becomes double G afterwards, right? So, anyways, yes, let's continue.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya ji. Please go ahead.
Sandhya.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
Yagya dana tapah karma na tyajam karyameva tata yagyo danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam.
Very nice, Sandhya.
Radhe Radhe, Preeti ji. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Preeti ji.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Yajna dana tapa karma na tyajam karyameva tat यज्ञोदानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्. राधे
Very
राधे.
nice, Preeti ji. Radhe Radhe.
Surinder ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Prabhu ji.
राधे राधे प्रभु। यज्ञ दानं तप कर्म न त्यज्याम कर्ममेव तत् यज्ञोदानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणां।
Very
राधे
nice,
राधे।
Prabhu ji. Radhe Radhe. All right, we can take few more hands.
Sam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे। यज्ञदानं तपः कर्म न त्याज्यं कार्यम् एव तत् यज्ञोदानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्। राधे राधे।
Very nice, Radhe Radhe. Sam ji.
Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Rahul. Some of them I take a liberty of not putting G and I feel more comfortable. Rahul is one of them. So
यज्ञदान तपः कर्म न त्याज्यं कार्यमेव तत् यज्ञोदानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्।
very nice, Rahul. Radhe Radhe.
Pragi ji, Radhe Radhe, please
Radhe
go ahead.
Ji.
राधे राधे। यज्ञदान तपः कर्म न त्याज्यं कार्यमेव तत् यज्ञोदानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्।
Very nice, Pragi ji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, let's
राधे राधे।
we can cover maybe 3-4 more hands.
Yeah,
Everybody.
Rupa ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Rupa ji.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Yajnadana tapa karma na tyajyam karyameva tat yajno danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam.
Very nice, Rupa ji. Wonderful. All right.
Shyam ji, yeah, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Shyam ji, please go ahead.
यज्ञदान तपः कर्म न त्याज्यं कार्यमेव तत् यज्ञोदानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्।
Very nice, Shyam ji. Wonderful. All right, we can take 2 more.
Okay, Ashutosh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Kushi, please go ahead.
यज्ञदान तपः कर्म न त्याज्यं कार्यमेव तत् यज्ञोदानं तपस्यैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्.
Very nice, Ashutoshi. So let's have the icing on the cake now.
Yeah, last but not the least, Meenakshi ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे।
Radhe Radhe.
यज्ञदान तपः कर्म न त्याज्यं कार्यमेव तत् यज्ञोदानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्।
Very
Thank
nice,
you.
Meenakshi ji. Looks like Srivatsan has been teaching you really well. So that's very nice. Wonderful.
Thank
See, now we are covering more participants within the same window, right? We spend about 7 to 10 minutes, depending, but more participants are getting covered. That means everybody is reciting in one go really nicely. It's wonderful. That's a sign of progress. So let's get started. So this is a shloka from 18th chapter, verse 5, that builds on the concept that we have been discussing, the charity. So yagna means sacrifice, dana means charity, tapa penance, karma actions, na never, tyajyam should be abandoned, karmam eva must certainly be performed, tat that yagna means sacrifice, danam charity, tapa penance, cha and eva indeed, pavanani purifying, manishinam for the wise. The short translation for this shloka goes like, actions based upon sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. They must certainly be performed. Indeed, acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are purifying even for those who are wise. Even for those who are wise. So God is already putting a grading in our understanding, wise and people who are not so wise. Right? A lot of places God has used the word dim-witted or with dull intellect. People who don't have the spiritual spark or who don't have understanding of some of the deeper spiritual principles, they are called as mudha, means ignorant people or dim-witted people. If we have knowledge of all the material sciences, that doesn't necessarily make us intelligent from a spiritual standpoint. We may be materially well versed, materially intelligent, but if we don't understand the principles which dictate human life, then in God's eyes or from a spiritual standpoint, we are still dumb, mudha or dumb-witted, dim-witted rather. So, anyways, let's get started. So in this shloka, let's even for those who are wise. So there are three things that are being talked about: sacrifice, charity, and penance. And we have been focusing on charity. We'll go a little bit on the other aspects today as well. Now, Lord Krishna is pronouncing his verdict very clearly that we should never renounce actions which elevate us, and they are beneficial for humankind. So these actions are actually these three that Lord Krishna is talking about in this shloka. It's actually killing two birds with one stone. We know that. There's a saying, right? Ek tir se do shikar. It's not only elevating for us, for our soul, but also it is beneficial for humankind. So paropkar, or things which are beneficial for humanity at large, Lord Krishna is strongly advocating that. We don't simply keep things to ourselves, digest it, and say, okay, done deal. He says we should always strive for things which are beneficial for others. And we'll see how these are. Now, these actions, if performed in proper consciousness, of course, it has to be performed in proper consciousness, then they don't become binding karma. Right? This is again reiterating the concept of karam yoga that we have spoken about. The action is the same, but when it is performed with the proper consciousness, then it becomes non-binding. Otherwise, it will still operating in the realm of Maya. Either it is purifying, or it is downgrading, or it is keeping us where we are. But we can transcend all the three when we start attaching it to God or for the pleasure of God. Then it becomes spiritually uplifting. So what are these? As you can see, these are the three things which have been spoken about. The sacrifice, charity, and penance. And charity is what we have been focusing on for this week. So let's continue. Now I got some interesting quotations I found. I thought I'll display those as well on charity. So from Muhammad, it is from the Muslim sect or Islam said that every good act is charity. A man's true wealth hereafter is the good that he does in this world to his fellows. Okay, it is from Muhammad. Furthermore, this one is also good. Charity benefits the giver more than the receiver. Just think about it. Such a deep thought. Actually, it is helping us more than anybody else. In so many ways it's helping us. Okay, not just from liberating, breaking the shackles that our mind has with regard to hoarding things for ourselves, having more seva attitude, becoming more selfless, but also from a future lifetime stand. We are future proofing our poverty as well. That is the biggest gain of charity. Now, if you go by Maslow's law, in economics, they say you think about charity or spiritual things or even thinking about higher purpose of life only when your basic necessities of food, clothing, and shelter is taken care of. It's very human. We need to be as elevated as some of the saints like Tukaram or Kabir, where we have accrued sufficient spiritual merit that poverty does not bother us. We see God's grace in that as well. But until we are at that point, spirituality is the last thing that will come to our mind. Our entire life would be spent around food, clothing, and shelter only. Meeting ends in life. And that is why Brahmaji has given this injunction specifically for Mrityulok people. If you don't do dan, it's like taking on a loan in life. Would you like to take a loan in life? No. What kind of a loan? You have to basically take on a loan, and then how do you get absolved from that loan? By being born in a poor family next life, because we had that hoarding tendency. So if you are born um, in poverty, then spirituality will take a backseat unless we have accrued. So it's a vicious cycle we can get into. And when somebody is born poor, there are good chances they may even get into illegal things. They may even do crime. And then you get into karmic cycle. So it can become a vicious cycle. That is why Dan has been really spoken of in highlight in the age of, it is called a Yuga Dharma. It is very important. So we are actually helping ourselves more than anybody else, if you really think about this concept deeply. And this one, I loved it as well. It says, no one has ever become poor by giving. Anne Frank had said. So it's a very interesting one. I mean, nobody becomes actually poor. In fact, your experience will tell you otherwise. All right. Mahatma Gandhi said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Mother Teresa said that it's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. That is very important. So God actually gives us credit, not for the gift of the giver, but the love of the giver. That is the sentiment that he actually notes or gives you credit for. So there's a story in Ramayana as well. Vishadraj, when Lord Ram was going to the forest, on the way, Vishadraj, he met Guhraj, Vishadraj. He was a tribal and Ram was a prince or a king. Now, what would he do? Right. So then he brought the best things that he possibly could. He asked his men to get some fruit and, made him a place of leaves, and Sita, some kind of flowers they put around her. Now, whatever was his capacity, yatha samarthya, he did that. So will God say, you did not give me things befitting to my stature? No. It's the sentiment behind it which actually he matters. So it's the same thing in charity as well. If we approach it with love and compassion, more than something self-seeking, that is when the impact of that charitable act increases many folds, and we truly get the benefits out of it, spiritual benefits out of it. So it's the intent plus the love behind it. That is what is very important. And we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. It was said by Winston Churchill. Very nice it was. And then Washington said that those who are happiest are those who do most for others. It is a principle, time-tested principle. You can try it out. That is why they say seva, the kind of bliss you derive from doing seva and giving, is something that is hard to match, not hard to match, impossible to match that feeling in your material life. So it's in giving that you receive, it's in giving that satisfaction, that peace, that bliss can only be experienced when we start expanding our bubble and start reaching out in whatever form we can. It could be material, it could be in form of your time, it could be a seva through your body, could be anything. But when we start giving, it really helps us. And it's only for our upliftment. God doesn't need anything from us. These are the tools he has given us. This is the framework God has given us to actually fast track our spiritual journey. So anyways, let's move. Now let's look at an example of a caterpillar. In science, we used to do that. Been a while now. Biology was never my favorite subject. So it starts with the larva, pupa, and then the caterpillar starts coming out of it, right? This is a process. It's a cocoon, and from cocoon, it starts emerging, and the fluids, they start transforming into a caterpillar, and then the battle ensues, and finally it becomes a butterfly. Now, if you look at this whole process, how it unfolds, so in order to transform it, it weaves a cocoon around for its evolution, and it is encaged in that. And once it becomes a butterfly, that's when it breaks open the cocoon and soars into the sky. So in order for it to soar or to realize its true potential, not just limited to being a caterpillar alone, it has to break open that cocoon. Now, our life is compared to that of the web of cocoon that we have built around us. Our position is similar to this. And how is it similar? Let's look at it. So that not with regards to our beauty, so the ugly caterpillar, so we are attached to the world, and because of which we are bereft of noble qualities. It's not possible to acquire those noble qualities for as long as we are deeply entrenched. Our mind is deeply entrenched in world and worldly things. We are limiting our potential. And as this self-preparation and self-education, as part of that endeavor, we need to perform actions that bring about the inner transformation, which entails breaking out of the shell or breaking out of this cocoon, so to say. It's a beautiful analogy. There's another aspect to it as well, which we will discuss, because it translates to the austerity part of it as well. But the point here is that that cocoon, now if larva chooses to remain inside the cocoon, it will always remain larva. And only when it decides to break out of it, that's when it becomes a butterfly. And that cocoon is something, it is analogous to our lives. We actually choose to continue to live in that cocoon, not want to come out of it. And because of it, just give me a sec. Am I getting some? Sorry about that. It's not a right time to get a call, but somebody thought it's very urgent. Sorry about that. Okay. So yeah, so for that inner transformation, that we need to break out of that cocoon is what our which is saying. So these three tools that we've been talking about, the yagna, dan and charity, the charity and the tapa, these acts are the acts that help in our spiritual evolution and growth. So these acts actually help us get out of this shell or the cocoon that we have built around us. That is why they have been specifically called out in Bhagavad Gita. God is giving us these tools, that if you employ these tools, regardless of your stature or position in life, these will help you get out of your cocoon, the web that we have built around, where we want comfort. We don't want to do sacrifice. We want to keep things for ourselves. We don't want to do charity, right? And then the penance part of it, we don't find a reason to do that, right? Because we carry a certificate that we are good. We don't think anything bad about anybody. We earn our money honestly. So that penance part, we don't even feel a need that to look at our faults, work on them, or to see what wrong I might have done. Those things generally don't come to our mind naturally. So God says, if you do these three acts and you continue to do that, it will help you break the shackles that your mind is gotten used to, and it will help you get out of the cocoon like this caterpillar is doing. Let's move on. Continuing on with this example, analogy, beautiful analogy that we have. Now, it may seem that these acts are binding. It's not easy that first time you do charity, or let's say you are doing some kind of an austerity, you are able to do it in the right consciousness. Not possible. It takes a bit of a journey, understanding, continued practice to actually start doing it in the right consciousness. So it may seem binding as well. It can seem binding to begin with, right? But they are like caterpillars, cocoon, but regardless, you continue to do that. That's what I'm saying, because they will keep on melting our impurities. So even if we are not doing something with a gunatit state of mind, right, it will still melt away your impurities. That's what God is saying. He also understands it's not a unit step function where yesterday you were doing like this and tomorrow you will. It's not a unit step function. It's a journey. And he's saying, embark on this journey. Start building those sanskars so that we don't shy away from this. All these three have to go hand in hand. And once the impurities are melted, it will beautify us from within. Actually, beautify us from within means it's simply removing the layer. We are already beautiful, right? If you look at the soul, it is untainted, it is pure. So the day we remove the layers around our soul, we will realize who we are. Right, that part will be there. So it simply help us remove the layers that we have built lifetime after lifetime, and eventually it will help us break the shackles of life. So these three injunctions are given very clearly in Bhagavad Gita. Do these three. And Brahmaji has anyway given that, right? The top one. Do continue doing that, because that will ensure that at least the lives that you get, you don't have to worry about the economics part of it, of your life, right? If we have to worry about, if we are, let's say we are born in Somalia, nobody controls that, or any other country where the economics are not very supportive, then what's the question of spirituality, right? You will just struggle to find ways to feed yourself and fill your stomach with something. Spirituality will take a backseat. So the fact, think about it, how fortunate we are, first of all, getting human birth. Secondly, having, the ability to earn or feed ourselves. And thirdly, having an inspiration. Fourthly, finding a mentor and a platform. So these are like such huge blessings that if you think about it, it will give you goosebumps. It doesn't happen so easily. So like in English, they say the saying, make hay while the sun shines. We should make the most of this opportunity, because all these factors converging in one lifetime, they're pretty rare. And it happens with extreme fortune, good sanskars, and grace of God for sure. So whatever best we can make out of it, we should make out of it. Now, if you look at it, another aspect of it is Lord Krishna is instructing that these activities, like, he's very clearly said that do not abandon it. Don't even think about abandoning it ever. Okay. These are not the activities that these are not like discretionary activities that you do and make it a commitment, is what he's saying, as I understand from it. Now, other part of it is, if you look at it from larva to pupa to all the way up, if you look at the pain and the struggle is increasing. Thus, the austerity part of it, the tapa part of it is coming into picture as well. There is a bit of an austerity involved. It's not that the larva is enjoying its time and it's very easy for it to come out of it. There's a bit of an austerity that it needs to undertake. So Swamiji tells a very beautiful story. There is a boy who used to go to school, and he would see this larva and caterpillar start emerging out of it, and then the caterpillar, while the cocoon was still not broken, seemed to be struggling really bad to get out of it. And he thought, okay, let me make this larva's life simple. He could not see that trouble, and what it did was it actually cut the cocoon so that its trouble is taken away. And when it cut the cocoon, that caterpillar actually fell down on its belly, and that's it. It just remained like that. It could never grow wings. It was only through the austerity or the struggle that it would have been able to convert that liquid into its wings and actually soar high. So that trouble is designed by nature for a good reason. Similarly, our lives, the troubles are designed for a reason. If we simply want to cut short that, you are actually not going to get out of it. That will happen until you learn the lesson. So point here being, we should actually look at these challenges also as an opportunity, as opposed to something that I want to avoid. Okay, that avoidance attitude should be shunned. This example talks about that as well, because that austere element comes into picture as well. You have to be willing to exert yourself, and then when you'll come out of it, that version will be much better version from which you started off with. So that is where the other aspect of taking upon austerities comes into picture as well, right? Also in our previous sessions, we had discussed, right, when we take upon a short-term gratification, something that pleases to us in immediate, okay, let me do that and I'll enjoy it. Shreyas and praise concept that our scriptures talk about, right? Then our brain releases something like a dopamine kick. Obviously, you get some kind of a pleasure out of it. But is that pleasure good for us? No, it's not. Shreyas is something which is sweet to begin with, but poisonous in long run. And prayas rather, and Shreyas is the other way around. It might be bitter pill to begin with, but that is something which is good for us in long run. So when we are willing to exert, take on that austerity, then we get the serotonin kick, which is much higher than the dopamine kick, right? Because it's just like when you do exercise, you're taking upon that austerity, but at the end of it, when you sweat, you feel good. Same thing happens in this process as well. When we come out of a painful experience with the learnings, we realize that we have become much better off than how we started off with. And this exercise, I love it. In fact, I did it when I was studying here doing my master's. So our professor told us, draw some inflection points in your life. Okay, 4 or 5 points on a piece of paper, and think about those 4 or 5 crucible points or inflection points in your life which actually define who you are today. Okay, and then he said you can actually split it out in 2 activities: one, all the successes, and one, all the hardships and the failures. Invariably, if you do that exercise, even with yourself, sitting back at your home, thinking when you have time, those 4 or 5 things that you think are worth and actually define who you are today would invariably be some harsh, bad, or painful experiences. That is how powerful the role of pain and hardship is in our life. So it's more like a sandpaper which is working on us to file us so that we become better. Just like a marble statue. A marble and a beautiful statue is, what is the difference between those two? Like the marble complained to the other one, I'm lying here on the floor, people just walk upon me, but everybody comes and pay obeisance to you. And although we are cut from the same cloth, you are marble, I am marble as well. The other marble response, were you willing to tolerate pain? And if you're willing to tolerate pain of chiseling, then you'll also become beautiful. So for us to become beautiful, we need to be able to tolerate pain and take upon austerities, the tapa aspect of it, which God is talking about. We actually, that should be our mindset. Have faith in God and then take on that challenge head on, as opposed to saying, no, I need to stay away from it. I need an easy life. That's what God is saying. So these tap, penance, and charity is something that should not be given up at any cost, no matter what stage of life we are in. And these are the tools which will help us break the shackles or the cocoon that our mind has gotten attuned to, because it loves comforts. All right. So
There is a
moving on.
quick question, Nitinji.
Sure.
So Sri Ramya ji is asking, what exactly is difference between charity, sacrifice, and penance?
Charity, sacrifice, and penance. So charity, sacrifice is something that you give from a position of strength. Sacrifice is not something when you are cornered and you have to let go of it. Renunciation or sacrifice is done from a position of strength, not from a position of weakness. I'll tell you a story around it. There was a guy who was doing his morning vandan. So he was like having a bowl of rice in front of him and thinking, okay, should I offer this much to God and keep this much for myself? Or should I give this much to God and keep this much for myself? Or should I do 50-50? All that stuff he's thinking. And then what happens is the wind comes and blows everything away. And then he said, God, okay, everything is yours. So did he really have a choice at that point? That was not a sacrifice. It was taken away from him. Similarly, sacrifice is something which you willing to give up. Like I'll tell you the story. Hopefully this concept will drive home the point here. So Karna, when Indra came to him to ask for his son Kavach, right, before the Mahabharata war, he gave it. That is called sacrifice. He actually gave it because with this Kavach, nobody could have killed him. And when he was giving, he actually told him, and then he asked him, are you sure you want to give it? He asked him, take it before I change my mind. Because it was a sacrifice for him. It was not forcefully taken from him. Okay, so that is the spirit of sacrifice. Penance, I think we can get deeper into that concept. It's like more like a prayashchit for the things that you think you have wronged. So that is said, at least from our standpoint, introspection and reflection on things that we need to work on ourselves or where we might have done wrong. That intent itself can take us far. That purification process has started, right? And charity is giving away. Again, it is a form of a sacrifice only that you are doing, but actually there's a bit of a difference there as well. It's not forcibly being taken away from you. Nobody's asking from you as well. So charity also falls under a bit of a sacrifice to begin with, but what our scriptures tell us, so you have to do that regardless. But yeah, we can get into some more example. Is it charity? Is it sacrifice? So those kind of things can happen. But I just gave you an example of sacrifice that Karan did. Now, any other story I had was, it's a very interesting story around. So these things are not only supposed to be abandoned, but also not procrastinated. Okay, I'll tell you the procrastination aspect of it. I have a story, and then we will get into a bit of a discussion around that as well. Our mind is very good at procrastinating. So there was a story of Yudhishtra and Bhima in Mahabharata. So what happens is Yudhishthir was sitting, he was king, Mahabharata war was over, he was a king and he was working on something, some stuff he was doing, I don't know, accounting or whatever. And Bhima comes to, and there was a guy who comes from his praja, and he asks him for something. Something that he asked for something, he wanted to get something from Yudhishthir, and Yudhishthir said, okay, come tomorrow, I'll give it to you tomorrow. And after that, Bhim was there, he heard that too. And then he goes to his city and says, okay, light up the entire city. He puts all the lights and then said, everybody get the sweets, and then he said, get the crackers. It was like a festive atmosphere in the entire city. And he said, let's start celebrating. And people started celebrating. Bhim is telling them to do so. So then Yudhishthir started wondering, today is not Diwali, what's going on here? So he called Bhim. He said, Bhim, what's going on here? He said, brother, it's a cause for celebration today. He said, why? What happened? He said, you told this guy to come tomorrow. You know what he was asking for. You're going to give him tomorrow. So you have already conquered Kal. Means your death. You are very sure you're going to be there tomorrow. Isn't it a big cause for celebration? Then Yudhishthir thought, this guy, this glutton guy, although he is fat, but apparently he doesn't have so much, he has a little bit of weight here as well, not just on his body. But the point was very, very profound, right? He's actually telling him he wants to give something, but he said, give to me. So he procrastinated. So the point here is, if you want to do something, same thing Ravan told Lakshman as well. When something good comes to your mind and charity or the intent, your mind will fluctuate. I'm telling you, it's not so easy to do that. Especially when we have to take upon a sacrifice or something, it will try to procrastinate it. I'll do it. I'll find that perfect cause, or maybe not today or tomorrow, or maybe not this much, or it was always my aspiration to sponsor a child for education. All these things your mind will cook up, and you will keep on finding excuses to procrastinate it. Will you get an opportunity or not is a question. So if it comes, if you get an inspiration, do it. Don't wait, because your mind will play tricks around it. So those aspirations for the future that we create are good as long as they translate into action, because if it goes as a desire only, then it's an opportunity lost. Tomorrow we'll pick up a story of the greatest miser we have had on earth. It's a very interesting story, and try to look at it from a scriptural standpoint, what happened and how leading the life or a mindset of that could lead us to. But aspirations for future is good. And today, let me check if we have a participant. Okay, I can see her. She wanted to talk a little bit about her. I don't know why, something inspired her, and I said, sure, come over. So I'm not sure what she's going to talk about. She doesn't come often to sessions, but when she comes, people usually take notice. So do we have Arnima here? And as a matter of fact, she happens to be my wife. And more recently, I'm known as Sita's husband because she played a role of Sita. So if you are there, you can announce yourself. She wanted to tell her story with regards to charity and stuff like that. So are you around?
Arinima ji is here. Should I make her co-host?
Yeah, sure. I think if she's willing to unmute herself, so please come over. You wanted to say, I think, something. So love to hear from you as well. Okay, please go ahead.
Let me.
Her story, something she related to charity, she wants you to speak about. Go ahead, please.
Arinima ji, yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Palviji. Thank you, Nitin. So Radhe Radhe everyone. I don't know why I was feeling little inspired to share my own realization on this path. So I thought I will come on session today and share my own journey when I started. So it all goes few years back. And these kind of stories I mostly share with my close friends, and now you all being our family for more than a year. So I was feeling that inspiration. So here I am. So the story it is few years back when I was really looking for a job in USA, and I was, it was like a dream come true if I get a job. And finally, I got an opportunity, but it was just for 3 months, and that too contract. So before getting that job, I always used to tell Nitin that if I get something, I'm definitely going to do something good from my first salary. And but that was just a talk for me, but I always used to say that. And finally I got my job. And coincidentally, after a month and so, I think there was Swamiji's program. It was the first time his program in Phoenix, and we did not go, as Nitin may have shared in his own presentation. But next day we got an email from our friends, and finally we went there. And we thoroughly enjoyed that program, the meditation, yoga, and Swamiji's discourse, of course. And in between the discourses, Swamiji mentioned about a lifetime opportunity for to membership from JK Yoga, and he was working on the project for Radha Krishna Temple. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I didn't even think anything. But that time, Nitin came to me and confronted me that you always used to say that you want to do something good. Now here is an opportunity. And I was like, yeah, but my job is still, a contract. It's not full time yet. So, but he said, no, you said that, and now you have to think over it. And then I started coming back and, started observing myself that, yeah, I really wanted to do something, but I was not there yet that I will do something. But in my mind, I have told myself that I'm good and I'm doing something. I'm going to do something good. But with the grace of God, and I think Swamiji, and I'm very thankful to you, Nitin, that you confronted me, my all thoughts and my talks. And it was still difficult for me to make the first move, but finally we took the lifetime membership from Swamiji. And the realization was, Swamiji always told later in his discourses that whenever you take that first step, something inside you changes. And I realized that after that, I was able to meet that, understand why I was not able. I used to talk about it, but never took that first step. But even after a while taking the first step, it was little difficult, very difficult for me. But when I took it, that realization was there that something inside you changes. So just wanted to share that my own first experience on charity with Swamiji Jagiyog, and thank you to you, Nitin, for that opportunity.
Take that credit for sure, but yeah, that's good. That realization is pretty good. In fact, I always used to tell her that if purely based on intentions one will get credit, right, she will win gold medal every day. Very high aspirations, a lot of good intentions. But yeah, when you start doing it, something starts changing. When you start bridging the gap between your intention and actually application. So the good thing is we keep raising each other's games, which helps. So, but thanks for sharing that. Wonderful. So yeah, so the point here was thanks Arnima. I'm sure people would have drawn some inspiration from it. But yeah, from my personal experience as well, when you do something changes and that change is good, actually, you love that change within you, and it starts getting better with time. Who was that philanthropist? He said the kick you start deriving from giving is great actually. Something happens for sure. All right. So anyways, the point here was the aspirations for future, the procrastination part of it we are talking about, right? Now, procrastination is something which anyway, not just related to charity or any other thing or austerity, is considered as one of the biggest pitfalls in the path of spirituality as well. And why is it considered? Just think of it. Very simple reason. Let's say human life right now is right 80 years or 100 years now. They're trying to expand that part of it. But let's say we were going to live for 1,000 years. In Satyug and other yugas, it used to happen, right? you're going to live for 1,000 years. If you're going to live for 1,000 years, your mind is still going to be the same. And if you have a habit of procrastination, you still have to break it. Now, if you may procrastinate, okay, I'm 1,000, so I will pick it up in 600th year. Okay, you still have to pick it up on 600th year. You say, no, I still have 400 years. I'll pick it up in 900 years. Still have to pick it up and do something about it. Or you say, you lose time, let's say. Finally, when you repeat as a human next life, the mind is still the same. The mind will not get reset. You'll still be having the same tendency. Now you have to still break it. So the point is, you have to break it. You have to confront that procrastination and match your intentions with the actual application. It has to happen someday. And that procrastination will keep us troubling us no matter which lifetime we are in, until we have cracked the formula to actually do something about it. And the good thing about this is, when we stop procrastinating, we will continue to procrastinate. But if we are taking action in 8 things and procrastinating 2, it's better than procrastinating 8 and not taking action in 2. That model or that mindset is extensible. Like, you can extend the class in IT, they say, right? You can actually replicate that or extend that mindset to other walks of life as well. It just starts becoming a habit. So that is something that needs to be confronted. I am myself a big procrastinator, started getting slightly better now. But that's something I realized. I heard one of Maharajis lecture. He said that habit you have to break anyways. If not today, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, day after. But you only have to break it. Magically, it will not go away, right? Whichever lifetime we are in. So that was the thing. Any thoughts, remarks based on what we discussed today on the topic? Let's hear from a few participants, and then I wanted to talk about the upcoming events. I think Shyamji will have some announcements to make as well, but let's get the discussion going on the topic that we have discussed, and then you can make the announcements, and then we will continue touching upon some of the aspects that we have spoken about. Yes.
Yeah. Radhe Radhe Sunitji, please go ahead.
Yes, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. Yes, Nitinji, just we heard from Anya, intention is always there. She has related the story that is same is happening with me. Intention is always there, but I want, like I talk to my husband, let's do it. Say, Abhi, you have to wait for that. So like for Anya, you were there. You told her to know, take that first step. So I don't have that someone who can tell me, yes, Sunit, do it. So I'm waiting for that to my husband to tell me, yes, Sunit, let's do it. So we need that person enough, but how will that happen?
Yes, sometimes we have to push each other and then it happens. But yes, our mind has a tendency to keep on procrastinating it, right? We want to seek that perfect opportunity. It will happen, and then I will do this, and then I will do this. I will let it happen, then I'll do it. So we need to guard against it, because whether we'll get an opportunity or not, that itself is questionable, right? And then we have to really ask ourselves, is our mind cooking up excuses around this thing, or are we seeking out that perfect opportunity which may or may not come our way as well, right? So yeah, great point, Sunitji, and good to see you back after long. I hope you were not busy riding bikes all this while. So, but good to see you.
I was doing yoga nowadays that's why now I've changed the time from 5:30 to 6:30 yoga time.
Very nice, very nice. Good to see you back.
Padmaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. This is a combination of just pure knowledge and self-realization. Our soul is always dormant, it is covered by Maya. If you think of this as a picture, it gives you a picture in your mind. If you think of your experience as a picture, there's layers, and those layers could be situations, and those layers could be timing, those layers could be circumstances. Those are all the layers that we go through. So what happens when you're in the process of giving or forgiving, for that matter, that's why those two words are very powerful, giving and forgiving. You're awakening yourself, from inside, and you're actually healing the process of that ignorance that you have put yourself through those situations or circumstances. And that, what it does to you is it makes you emotionally, not just emotionally, but physiologically aware of yourself. And it really brings you up to a different level of emotions that you have never experienced before, and a different level of physiologically that you have never experienced before. And you can map it yourself with many things which happens in your life. If you're sitting in a perfect timing and then you are in front of Swamiji, he's singing, you're listening to his lectures, you're completely tuned into him, you're completely tuned into God, you're completely immersed in the best of your bhakti that you can, not by comparison, the best of bhakti that you can. What you feel in that moment emotionally, what you feel physiologically in that moment is that spiritual connection that you're making. And you can map that to different things. When you're doing bhakti, when you're doing seva, when you're forgiving somebody, when you're giving something to somebody. So those are kind of physiological and emotional experiences that you're going through, and you can map those experiences with different things that you do in your life. And especially when you give something to somebody, even a small tiny bit of something that you're not used to, what you're really making is not a materialistic connection, it is a spiritual connection that you're making. I'll just finish. If you're making that spiritual connection with the situation, you're making that spiritual connection with that person, and that bubble, not only for you, but the bubble will expand for the other people also, and that will have a ripple effect. Eventually, you cannot follow that ripple, but you need to believe and sit in that space and have that faith that this little gesture and act of yours that God has graced you with, it will take that ripple effect, but you have to come out of that and then give yourself that courage and conviction that let me take that first step. And I say this to myself in my own way, that short-term pleasures materially are going to be long-term pains spiritually. And when I say that to myself constantly, that I don't want that spiritual pain in the long term, I'd rather take the penance right now, so that I'm spiritually more connected with myself, so that I can be more connected with the situation and people around me. That is the medication that I need to prescribe myself on a day-to-day basis. That's what I tell myself.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I mean, that's the best medicine anybody can take, actually. And if it does, that medicine doesn't work for you, then double the dose. That's what it says. So that's a beautiful point. Great point.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Padmaji. Everyone, please take a look at it. I have posted the feedback tracker. Please put in your comments, feedback, question, and yeah, also visit the community website. There is the most of you are in the community website, but if someone is not there and is looking for links, if you are looking for recordings of the classes and the sessions, you can go and see there. So please do visit the community website. Nitin ji, quickly, I wanted to ask you one question from Anusha ji, which is very interesting one.
Okay.
She is asking, how does proper time matter in charity? How does charity done today be any different from charity done yesterday? Could you please explain about time quoted in 1720, verse 1720?
Proper time. Yeah, I think it's a good one. I've not thought really deeply about it, other than the fact that if you think about it, you keep holding it and telling yourself, I'm doing it for my family, this, that, it's only going to be there, and you keep giving that excuses, don't give it on time, then the timing matters there as well. Let's say, for example, somebody needs it at that point and you're not able to give it just because of your inability, but the fact that you couldn't muster up the required courage to do it at that point, then it's not worth it, right? Somebody might need an immediate attention with regards to something, money, and then that you're not able to do that, then it matters. And or for that matter, you were a millionaire and you died, and you wrote everything in your trust to some charity, right, after your death. Does it matter? That thing was anyway going to go away from you. Again, you have not done it from a position of strength. So I think timing matters from that standpoint. When is the right time to do? Because if we procrastinate it or do it after we are gone, then that's really doesn't help. Basically, you will not get credit for that. You will get credit for when you could actually part with it willingly in your full senses. But I'll try to dig up some more examples, more relevant analogies around it, so that we can get deeper into this concept. But great question, Anusha.
Yeah, thank you, Nitinji. Can I please take a moment to make the quick announcements before we move on to the rest of the discussion?
You can take 2 moments.
Thank you. So everyone, I just want to reiterate some of the events. So you all know about the Chaitra Navratri going on, and I want to give reminder about Mata Ki Chauki, which is going to happen on 8th April 2022, 6 p.m. CST, that is in Radha Krishna Temple, and we can watch it online as well, radhakrishnatemple.net. And then there is Ram Navami celebration, which is on Sunday, April 10th, 10:30 a.m. onwards. And then there is a special satsang for Ram Navami celebrations as well. And then we have a special announcement about grand opening of a Center for Indian Culture and Education that is going to be on Friday, April 22nd through Sunday, April 24th. So there's a lot of, the highlights are ribbon cutting, Ganesh Puja, guided tour, cultural programs, blissful kirtans, and keynote by Swami Mukundanandji. So we will share the links to all these. These are going to events. Please do not miss them. Those are great events.
Yeah, and we'll send you the flyer for that as well. I've seen a beautiful flyer come out already. So in the group, we'll post that. So I'm looking forward to that celebration. CIC, it's a beautiful building that has come up near our temple, and it just has a majestic look to it and an amazing infrastructure, state-of-the-art stuff that we will have access to. And we'll be able to take our offerings to the next level for sure after that. Thank you, Pallaviji. Let's hear from some of the participants. I can see quite a few hands.
Yeah, thank you for waiting, Rupaji. Sorry, Lakshmiji, I can unmute you. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I just posted the question because I thought I may not get a chance.
I saw it just now.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I have a habit of doing a charity, but I'm not able to make it continuous. And at the same time, I get that push, but I'm not able to implement it. So, any suggestions, please?
I don't know. I'm myself trying to get better at it. So I'm sailing in the same boat as all of you are. Okay. Yeah, it's more of a commitment. I try to make it in my mind now. Like I said yesterday, right? Make it something non-negotiable. If your kid needs something, right, or somebody whom you value needs something, you will make it negotiable. You'll do whatever is needed. So just treat it like your additional child or whoever you attach value to, and keep it aside. It's like, just have that mindset. It doesn't belong to me. Actually, I owe it to somebody.
Exactly. So, yesterday was my son's birthday. I thought, okay, I'll make him to do some charity, a little bit, not a big amount. But once he came and asked, Mama, I want to give party to my friend, I just gave off the money because there was no control on that. So
it will happen.
It happened.
Yeah, we make the intent and try to take the baby steps. It will happen. And once you start feeling the kill and the satisfaction you get out of it, it'll increase over time. But yeah, we have to work on it. It doesn't come naturally to us, for sure.
Sometimes at that moment, I just go to temple and put that whatever bucks in my purse, like that time, maybe 500 or 1,000. I just give out the charity in the temple so that it can be given through God, like maybe a prasad or something, and they just come off. So sometimes I do that, but I'm not able to maintain it continuously. So
like anything, it requires a conscious practice. So there's no magic for it. Just a conscious practice and reminding yourself, I owe it. I struck that deal with God. Okay, remind yourself, 90-10 deal we struck. Just keep reminding yourself that. That might help. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can I please little bit add, because I found this question very interesting, Lakshmiji. I struggled with the same questions for quite some time, and I came up with some areas
Solution?
to work on. So maybe I can provide what we did for our family. So especially the topic you mentioned about your son's birthday. So usually what we do in our family, because we talk to each other that what all causes we want to contribute towards. Like for my younger daughter, she wants to contribute towards pet care. She is very passionate about taking care of street dogs or any pet animals. Like my older daughter, she wants to contribute in the area of autistic kids and kids who has some special needs. And my husband wants to contribute towards someone who is for education, for underprivileged women and all that. So we all figure it out that which areas we want to donate, and on everyone's birthday we find that particular area where we make sure that we are doing it. So especially either on birthdays, or we prioritize month donation for the month. For me, I prioritize for the local food pantry every month. So that is the regular donation that we have to do. It is a part of our like daily grocery kind of thing. And the second thing we started doing is, every time you eat or do takeout in the restaurant, you have to make sure the same amount you do for charity. I think that is what I learned from my husband, because he was very reluctant in the beginning that why you want to eat in restaurant, because this is a huge amount which can make impact in difference in someone's life. And then we figured out that this could be another way of tackling that if we are buying something in restaurant, that or we are throwing any huge party, we give that equal amount in some kind of great cause that we believe in.
Wonderful. Great
Wonderful.
tools.
Thank you.
I can give you one more
Like-
tool. Whenever you get upset in life, angry in life, donate 1,000 rupees, okay, or maybe 500 rupees, okay. It's like that will help both ways. Okay, two birds with one. So it will incentivize you not to get angry, or when you get angry, you simply donate. That's it. Anyways, that was great tips, Pallaviji. Beautiful trips.
Yeah, thank you, Pallaviji.
Thank you. These are our kind of some observations that we were able to practice. Yeah, a little bit like we are trying to do our best in that. Yeah.
I can say you are very lucky. When I discuss the same thing with my kid and my husband, they say there's a lot of time, this is not the age. So they just pull back me again.
So tell them the Yudhishtra and Bhim story now, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Or
Thank
maybe
you.
some people try to donate only in temples. So I think, yeah, you can definitely take initiative in your family. Yeah. Yeah,
Let's
thank
hear.
you.
Great discussion. Let's hear from other. I can
Thank you,
see quite a few
Pallaviji.
hands. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
Shalini ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, thank you for the opportunity. Talking about concentration and procrastination, I had a request. Nitinji, can you post that FB link which you have for Swamiji's Odisha University donation, please?
Okay, I did post it on chat just now.
Oh, thank you. That's what I wanted. Thank you so much.
I think, Nitinji, it went to the different window, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, it went to waiting room participants. Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Everyone in the meeting, let me put that there. Okay, give me a second. I just put it there.
Thank you. That's what I needed. Thank you.
I've just.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Shalini. Yes, let's hear from other
Rahul ji, yeah, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
On the topic of procrastination, I remember that in my childhood, whenever I used to delay a task, okay, we'll do it tomorrow, then my mother always used to say, Kal kabhi nahi aata, that she says tomorrow will never come. Now I understand that what she was talking about after hearing the story of Ravan, then Yudhishthir, and then the Doha of Kabir ji, काल करे सो आज कर, आज करे सो अब, पल में पढ़ ले होएगी, बाहुरी करेगा कब. So all these things, but those nuggets are very important, which we don't realize, or nobody tells us the importance of that. But slowly we realize that importance.
Beautiful. Yeah. Even when Lakshman was sent by Lord Ram to Ravan, so the words spoken by a dying man are very important. And Ravan told him this thing, Very important nugget. He said, when something good comes to your mind, do it immediately. Don't delay it, because it's very rarely your mind will cooperate or get inspired to do good things. And when something bad comes to you, just postpone it, procrastinate it. He said, I had one thing, that I would make a staircase to heaven. And second thing that came to my mind was to abduct Sita. The first one I procrastinated. Second one I did immediately. Should have done the other way around. So any good thought comes to your mind, do it. You never know, your mind will start playing tricks with you. Great point, Rahul. Let's hear from other participants. I can see 3 more hands.
Yes, Surendra ji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe, Prabhu.
Nitin ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
I take it very small sentences. When you think of a good thing like a charity, never have a pause to think over it. Do it then and there. If it is a bad thing, pause over it, think over it. It will never happen.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I thank you for the opportunity 2 days ago when you introduced this university pocket. I just related to my 3rd April. It is my English birthday.
Oh, wow. You did it for your birthday. Okay, very nice.
That matched with your appeal. Straight away, I said, never think it again. Do it at the same time, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever is the time. No. Having a thought, you forget everything.
Very true, very true.
I really like such opportunities we are given by you. Thank you very much. JK Yog and the university, which I am very much hopeful, it will come up for all the spiritual learnings also.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal when it comes down. It will become a hub for the Vedic wisdom. And it's a very humble attempt from our side to, do Guru Seva, because it's only because of Maharaj Ji and Swamiji that the fact that we are sitting here today and discussing Bhagavad Gita, right? It's changed my life completely. I don't know what I would have been doing
Very correct.
And then we are touching so many lives, right? The satsang that we are having on a day-to-day basis. So it's just a very humble attempt. They say the Guru Rin is, like we were talking about Rinas, right? Previously, Guru Rin, they say, even if you cut your head and give it back, your life back to your Guru, still you cannot get out of it. That's how powerful it is, right? The jump our soul gets. But it's just a small, endeavor just to purify ourselves. But I'm glad, you got that opportunity along with us on your birthday. So thank you very much.
It had to be done on the same time, not thinking of the next morning. That's the right way. That's the right way. I for all others who are asking the questions, never think it again. Do it at the same moment.
You know what? In Bhagavad Gita, the word yoga is used 750 times. And in our sessions, your name has been used more than 750 times, I'm telling you, okay? Because we talk about surrender.
I must thank my class teacher in the higher secondary time, because he spelled me like this and my certificate says the same thing. So I have to continue using the same thing.
Yeah,
University said, no, you can't write single R. You have to write double R, because you
directly become surrender.
Board certificate says surrender, so I have to be surrender. And in fact, I
happy birthday wishes
surrender
to you,
host like Nitin, that I really get a lot of knowledge from all of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, privileged to have you, Surendraji, and coming directly from Swamiji. We are extremely fortunate. I'm telling you, Bhagavad Gita is not an easy subject. Okay, the fact that we are able to discuss it with simple examples and analogies is a huge thing. Okay, and that has been made accessible to us by Maharaj and Swamiji. Otherwise, this is a scripture which can take lifetime and still you will not derive much out of it. But now it is so beautifully explained to us, we can actually go into the depths of it and start implementing it in our life and start benefiting from it. And that is only made possible because of, Guru and God's grace. Not possible.
Please convey my appreciation to your wife. What she did through your poking, that was the right thing to do, because she can always imagine, okay, I am joining 1 month late, that's okay.
Yeah, I keep on telling her that she should appreciate me for all the pokings I do, not just for charity alone. Okay, so.
God bless your family. God bless your family. Thank you very much.
All right, I see 2 more hands.
Yeah, thank you, Surendraji. And yeah, thank you, Arinima ji, for sharing her journey. And Nitinji, for your inspiration. You keep inspiring everyone. Thank
So
you.
I've told her she has to raise her game because it's very convenient for her to put a check and let it go online. I said, no, you take it out, withdraw from the bank and get not the 100 bills, get it $20 bills and start giving from your hand. That will raise your game, give you another sense of, okay. Because the online and all that stuff, it's like, okay, gone. But when you start doing it like
personal touch,
you change something more, So that's the next level we are going to implement now. So, all right, great. Let's hear from the other.
Yeah, Anusha ji has asked question that are there any retreats coming up in West Coast as well, Swamiji?
There should be, Anusha ji, I'll personally check it out for you. Swamiji has retreats all over US. There's one in Fresno, there's one in Bay Area. There will be retreat. I don't know the exact schedule, but I can definitely look it up and let you know. Minuji will be saying, okay, give me an opportunity and let me tell her. So Minuji, please feel free to do that to Anusha ji. And anybody who's from Bay Area, LA, you need to speak to Minuji. Please fill it in the attendance tracker. There is a satsang, beautiful satsang. We have a beautiful temple coming up. Do connect with her, and it's like one of those things which are non-negotiable in life. If you're in Bay Area, you're in this session, you have to speak to Minuji. And please fill in the attendance tracker. I'll patch you up with her.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
There you
Nitinji,
go.
for this.
Minuji is on screen already. So most beautiful altar that you would ever see is Minuji's, and she's talking something really nice on mute, but we can hear you.
Oh, let me unmute her, Minuji.
Okay, West Coast, Radhe Radhe everybody, great session. West Coast retreat is going to be end of July, and kindly those who are joining from LA or Bay Area or Phoenix, please get in touch with me and I can give you the details personally.
Yes, please do get in touch with Minuji, okay? It will change your life for good, I'm telling you. So
Minuji, is it 4th July? Did you mention 4th July, Minuji?
No, the are basically from 4th to 11th is going to be Bay Area temple inauguration, Murti Stapna. Everybody is invited there and they can let me know and we can make staying arrangements over there. And then in LA is going to be from 13th to 20th of July, and everybody is welcome to come to Radha Kunj. And then from end of July is going to be a retreat. So we will give you the dates for that.
Thank you, Minuji.
Once it's finalized.
I mean, you can tell about next year's schedule as well. I think that might help as well.
And I'm hoping Nitin and everybody from Dallas, they are coming for Radhakrishnan Temple of Bay Area inauguration and Murti Stapna. Thank you.
That intent will be there, Minuji, and we'll put in our best to come over there as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Really
Hopefully, Anusha ji, your question was not only answered, but more than answered. Okay, so you can get in touch with Minuji now for every details.
Thank
Great.
you so much, Radhika.
Yeah, Manish ji has also mentioned that he'll get in touch with Minuji.
Wonderful.
So
Manish ji, yes, please do.
Yes, he
And
is very close to LA. That's what he
yeah,
mentioned.
and please fill in the attendance tracker. I'll hand over your contact to Minuji, and if it's difficult for you to find her contact. Great, wonderful. Okay, 3 more hands. We can take those real quick. Pallavi.
Yeah, Shruti ji, Radhe Radhe, thank you for waiting.
Radhe Radhe, Pallavi ji, Radhe Radhe,
Shruti.
Nitin. Just a quick question. You said that if we do like donation, if we make a donation or charity after we are dead, like people leave money, but what about organ donation? That's also charity, and that's like huge because it's like giving life to someone. So does that count?
Yeah,
Like do people get credit for it?
Maybe some kind of a Chitragupta ji will definitely take note of it. If you donate your organ while you are alive, I think even better. After death, right? So some credit would be there. I don't know the formula, but yeah, it's typically when we are in a position of strength, when we are actually taking a hit on ourselves, that is very purifying. Once we are gone, I think that still helps, but I don't know how. I mean, the ratios would really be very smaller when you do it when you're alive, I would say. I don't have an exact answer, but I'm just guessing. Okay, what Mr. Chitragut ji would do typically in this case. So. Yeah, good question. I have
Yeah,
a
good
question that
question.
I need to clarify from Swamiji, because in charity, this concept, the moment I think I've understood, again, there's a curveball that comes, right? What if you're dependent on somebody, you're taking money from them, right? How does it count? Because that technically it's not a charity coming from you, those kind of scenarios. And
Yeah,
then,
because I've seen so many people here, like they need a kidney and they die because there are not enough, donors. So
yeah, that is
someone
noble
after
act.
giving their life,
That's a noble act for sure, right? Aishwarya Rai has pledged her eyes. I used to see that when I was a kid, so that's a very noble gesture.
yeah, I thought that too. That I'll do if my eyesight is good till then, until I die. But
As long as your
I'll,
intent is to give somebody else that eyes, not that I will continue to see the world now, okay, long after I'm gone. So that intent will make all
no, that's never there. Yeah, rather than thank
rather,
you.
no worries. Yes, two more hands. I
Yeah,
think
Rupaji, Radhe Radhe, please
third
go ahead.
hand we can.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Actually, most of my questions were like I heard it many people from my sister Lakshmi ji and also Arima ji, like everyone, and Pallavi ji. Thanks for giving me that tips and tricks like how to make the donations. Even actually, my husband also is very much willing to give the donations. We sometimes give it to old ages, like we send a rice bag or we give some fruits. We send like that. But as how Nitinji also said, like just giving the check and sending online, really, the work will get done. It won't get that gives the satisfaction. Maybe not like how he said, like $20 bills we donate and all, not like that. Maybe like I prefer in giving food to the needy people, like. But or sometimes, like every time I think, this time I'll donate. I mean, I wanted to do some charity, but we think of it, a new financial problem comes into our life where it stops
See,
us. Maybe next time, maybe next time.
God has his way of testing us as well at times, So
But life is always a new challenge every day. Like whenever you said, like how you said to my sister, like whenever you get anger, keep that 1,000 million one pocket and let's do the donation. Maybe that will work out.
put in a piggy bank that okay, next time I get angry, 1,000 rupees gone. Then it will work in both.
Definitely, that piggy bank will be very full. Because we are humans, definitely. That will be part of our life. So the piggy bank will be filled very easily. Then I can do a better charity now.
Yeah, then your husband will say,
So
how
that's
many
what.
piggy banks do you need to get in house, right? So that may not be a bad problem to have. But yeah, I think we need
Because
to find our own triggers and figure out ways to tackle it, because this is one thing we need to inculcate, because our mind will give us reasons. It's a good habit to have. I see my nani, even till this day, she keeps on money, and in her this thing she had written, my other nani, okay, my nani will say, what am I saying? She's alive, by the way. My other nani, okay, my mother's cousin's mother, we used to call her nani as well. She used to put aside money, whatever she used to get as a pocket money, or she was not working, and she kept it keeping aside throughout and putting in temple and this that. And when she died, there was a letter she had written that all this money, it has to go, because I have collected it. If I'm not able to give, I lose my senses towards that. It has to go for this cause, and this is the expense for my last rites. So that much awareness she had, that I have to keep aside some part and it has to go for some charitable cause, even though she was not earning. So I was so impressed. I mean, looking at that letter that she had written, that she had saved money, and she could, since she could not give, she had put a will that it has to go to that temple or whichever place she was associated to. So people in older times had this understanding, right? They understood it very clearly. For us, we need a reminder because we have moved in a different zone altogether, but these concepts were like part and parcel of life previously, for sure.
Actually, Arinama is very lucky that she has got you in her life, and you really, really, the rest I don't know. The thing
Oh, she's saying no. She's saying no.
So at least you are there in her life to bring that change in her, and you are supporting there always. That is really a very big thing for a woman or a girl, I can say. Like sometimes we think much, but family priorities comes and all, which stop us from doing something. So even I'm just
it helps actually when your spouse is aligned, especially on the spiritual path. It helps, definitely helps, because I've seen couples, one person is there, the other has, it becomes very difficult, right?
difficult.
Whether she's lucky or not, can you just keep her on mute? Okay, I think we'll just take last question.
So even I'm thinking
let's
like
leave it
how
at that
to make
note.
me implement that. I don't know. Like I mean, I'm thinking
It'll work out. You have the
like
intent, God will make it happen. So don't worry. Let's take maybe the
Radhe
last one, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
I know we
Yeah.
are way over time, so maybe one more.
Yeah, thank you, Rupaji. So one quick message in chat is from Lakshmi ji. She mentioned about donations, organ donation, that she thinks that the decision of donation has to be done when the person is alive. So that is why it is like the intent is already shared when the decision is already made for the organ donation. So Kumarji, Radhe Radhe for waiting.
Kumarji, yeah, I think we'll take the last one and then we'll do our closing prayers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji and Radhe Radhe everyone. Once again, what a beautiful session. I have 3 points. One is, as Nitin ji said, when we write out checks or we use our credit cards to pay, we really don't feel the pain normally, right? But when you pay in cash, and I did this once at Costco, right? Costco, whenever I go, it's like almost $200. And I just use my Costco card, it's done. So once I had some cash and my receipt came to $380. And then I have it all as $20 bills from the bank.
That is
right?
exactly what I was talking about.
And I'm giving each one, and I'm like giving, oh my God, like, am I paying so much? And if I'd used the Costco card, I wouldn't have thought twice about it, right? So very good point. It's kind of a discipline, right? Basically, kind of testing our willpower to do that.
True.
So having said that, that is one point. The second one is every good intention is good. So for that matter, organ donation is good. Like Chitragupt, there is one more twin of his called Vichitragupt, who kind of keeps accounts of all these things.
Vichitragupt, okay.
Yeah, and this is just a joke. So
I know.
I just thought. So, but the intention is good. It is a good thing, whether it's Aishwarya Rai or even anyone else who does it. I think we should also think about it and do it. That's one good thing. The third part which I want to make is, kind of mention about a Tamil saint called Avayar. I don't know how many people know about it, but she was a great, great saint, and she had some very good sayings. So she says, what is rare in this world? To be born as a human being is a rare thing. Rarer it is if you're born without any handicaps, any body, like any body part missing or something like that, right? That's rarer. Rarer than that is to get knowledge and education. And rarer than that is to use that knowledge and education to do sadhana and seva, right? So, great saying, right? And basically, she talks a lot about charity as well. So I just added to her sayings, rarer is to get a supportive spouse, right? And or both being in the spiritual path. So so kudos to you, Nitinji, and your wife for being on the same wavelength and in the same supportive and in the spiritual path. So that's something which is rarer of them all, I would say. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, I think I probably did not leave her any choice, and she's made peace with it now. But no, I think it helps. We were aligned and used to have these discussions, and then once we met Swamiji, there was no looking back. But yeah, that at least fundamentally that spark was there throughout. It was not like, okay, why are we talking this and all that stuff, right? In fact, I always joke around when I was about to get married. That's when my spiritual journey began. And I said that maybe God has its way to prep you up when the tougher times are about to come, right? But that's exactly around the time I met ISKCON people and this whole thing started falling in place, you know. And I would just talk about Krishna. Do you know who Krishna is? And it freaked her out and everybody out, you know, what's going on? And this guy is going to become Baba even before the marriage. But I said, no, it's not so easy to become a Baba. If I become, you guys should be happy. It's not just like that. But yeah, it's happened somewhere around that time. But I have gotten the required support. Even now, like, you know, it's a lot of compromise she has to make. Even our little one has to make. A lot of time that I could have otherwise spent with them goes into preparation and other things. But you need that support. Otherwise, it becomes difficult for sure. So it works both ways. So you definitely need that support. Otherwise, I know it can become very challenging. And if we do a session only on those challenges from our spouses, I think we'll probably have 80 people turning on their cameras, right? Maybe we'll do it on one of the days as well. Just look at it in perspective. Yes.
So I saw Arinima Ji's hand raised. So,
Okay.
but now she put it down.
Sure, you can have some.
Yeah, Arinima Ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Parveji. I just remembered one of the sessions Swamiji's which I attended, in which somebody asked that I have the money. My parents have given me their money and now they are not in this world. If I offer that money to God or any charity, would that be counted for them? So the answer from Swamiji was no, because it belongs to them now. So it will not count to their parents. So just wanted to mention that one of the things that I remembered.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's how it's meant to be. We think we can pass it on, but you don't get credit for that for sure. Great point. Okay, do we have anybody else?
Thank you for sharing that, Arinima Ji. Padma Ji, I see your hand raised. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Just wanted to share what is that I wanted to say about situations like this, like especially, you know, there's a lot of discussion about like the financial giving. We might not be in a perfect situation financially, never. But I think for me, finding other things until I'm financially stable, that I have the liberty and the freedom to offer without any hindrances or limitations or boundaries, and somebody not making sure that I don't give and they're not with the same mindset. But what I had to do for my own sake was find other things. It might not be financially, but there might be something else. Always, every day, there are some things which will come your way that asks for your judgment, and that asks and demands for a higher purpose from you. Whether it's something that you want to be generous to somebody by your words or by your experiences, by your weakness, and just telling something to somebody just to help them go through emotional pain that they're going through. Anything spiritually from your heart that you want to give with love, compassion, and empathy, keep on doing that for yourself until you actually become financially stable and you have that liberty to give. But these baby opportunities that you get within yourself, within each day, cash in on those. Take those opportunities and cash in on those.
Yeah. Don't let that inspiration die just because you can't do it right now. Beautiful point. And it's just a matter of time before it starts happening as well, right? And then there are a lot of other ways to do charity as well. If not through money, you can do, you know, through your time, through your body, through your mind as well. So we'll talk about that story of that miser tomorrow. Okay, that'll what we'll discuss. So great discussion today. I know we are overboard, but hopefully it was well worth the additional time today. Let's do our closing prayers for the day, and then we'll conclude our discussion on charity tomorrow. Who's going to lead it today? Everybody's looking at me. Okay.
Yeah. Who is going to?
Sandhya is going to lead that. Or Surender ji.
All right, Sandhya ji, please
Yes,
go.
Sandhya, please go ahead.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukh bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Have a wonderful evening and a great rest of your day ahead. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Good discussion.
Thank you, Nitinji, for such a wonderful session. Thank you, everyone, for joining and having such a great discussion. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe. Have a blessed day and a blessed night.
Thank you, everybody. Radhe Radhe.